Welcome to the Autosportradio.com 2019 show. I'm your host, Don Kay. We are live from McGilvery Speedway, 30th and High School in the beautiful town of Speedway, Indiana. Tonight we are presented, as always, by Honda and Honda HPD, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, NTT IndyCar Series, and SVRA. A couple of things to mention. Last week we had a little bit of a sound problem, so you didn't hear me wish Steve Jordan, a member of the tech committee in 51 consecutive Indianapolis 500s. Didn't get to hear me wish him a happy birthday. And also, unbeknownst to me until the next day when she had a birthday, Jackie Albers had a birthday last Wednesday, and I didn't know it until Thursday, and then I forgot to do anything. The Indy Toronto is driving for Carlin Racing. They got a new sponsor, so he will be in the seat at the next event in Toronto. Also, if you hadn't heard, the SVRA comes to town on August 1st through the 3rd, or 4th, I guess it is, and the Grand Marshal will be none other than Dick Simon. So, friends of Dick, he'll be in town, and so I don't know that we'll get him, but we might. And our next scheduled guest, yeah. It only took Fluffy 3 weeks to do this. Next week, my guest will be a newest member of the IndyCar staff. S.J. Lidkin will be here. We'll find out what's going on. The PR department has made some changes, as well as the sales department. We'll see what that's all about. So she'll be interesting, and I'll have another guest to announce here shortly. I know everybody can't wait when you got a dentist appointment. You say, oh, goody, I can't wait to get there. Well, I'll tell you a place that you can go that you will be excited to go, and that's the Indy Dental Group. Dr. Jack Miller and Dr. Liz Lewis have a phenomenal practice. If you need any dental work, other people to see, call them up, make an appointment. Number is 317-846-6125. And if you're looking for new insurance for your home, your car, or commercial property, you got to call Mike Pardee at VP Insurance. He's located at 5004 West 16th Street in Speedway. Give him a call, talk to him. Number is 317-248-0070. And for those of you who ride motorcycles, McGilvery's has bike night, Wednesday nights, starting at 6 o'clock. Everyone is welcome to come show off your bike. You want to come to McGilvery's on Wednesday nights, starts at 6 o'clock. Come on in, bring your bike. They had 17 of them lined up out here last week. And hopefully next week they'll have 20, 25, maybe 30. So if you got a bike, you want to come do something on Wednesday night, come on to McGilvery's. And if you haven't been to the museum yet to see the Mario Andretti display, you need to get there. And the lady to talk about it is sitting over here, the good-looking blonde. She's at the desk. She points which direction you need to go to see what's there. So you got to get over to the museum, see the Mario Andretti display. It'll be there until, October, I think. So my first guest is a gentleman I'm very pleased to have here. Don't get to see him much, but hear him from time to time. He's now doing the Indy Lights for NBC Gold, and he's also on with the Indy Cars with Mark Jaynes and his rowdy gang on the IMS Radio Network. He brings an awful lot, in my opinion, to the booth, because when he gets asked a question, number one, he doesn't get interrupted, and number two, when you get done listening to him, you know what the heck he's talking about. I'm happy to have him here tonight. Please welcome the Viking, Anders Krohn.
Thanks, Don.
What in the world happened to Betsy? Where'd she go? Gee whiz, she disappeared. Bailey left town. What, you scared the hell out of her?
Yeah, exactly.
So how you doing?
I'm glorious. How are you, Don?
Well, I don't know that I'm glorious.
I'm just a little taken aback by this wonderful hat of yours.
Isn't it nice? Huh?
Striking.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it
really makes your eyes pop.
Oh, without question. All right, I'll help that.
Ooh, glasses come off. All right. It's that kind of night. All right.
You bring, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people will agree with me, you bring something very good to the broadcast booth and the television, because you have the ability to understand what's going on, you know what's going on, you know the track, you know the problems, you know what the drivers pretty much are going through, what they need to do to improve. Very good to listen to. What only thing that bothers me is you should be in a car.
Oh, I should definitely not be in a car, and I definitely have no clue what I'm talking about. I just make it up. So, thank you, though, for believing in me.
I've been doing that for 30 years here.
Perfect.
Making it up.
That's why we like each other.
You seem to enjoy the broadcasting part, and I know you have another business that keeps you occupied from time to time, but you seem to be comfortable behind the microphone and can see what's going on and can translate that so that dummies like me can understand it.
I love it. I mean, I get to use a little bit of my experience as a driver, as an engineer, as a coach, working on the business side. I feel like the broadcasting lets me kind of incorporate all of those things and kind of talk about my biggest passion, which is racing, and more specifically IndyCar racing. So for me, it's a dream come true, something that I never imagined, let's say 6-7 years ago, that I'd be doing. But now that I'm here, man, it's awesome. I love it.
In spite of the fact you have to sit next to Mark Jaynes, you still enjoy it?
Well, we pull quite a few pranks on each other. My number one prank is anytime they leave their phone out, I take selfies. Last weekend, I got, I think, close to 300 selfies on Jake Query's phone. So that was a good day. I have Robert McGinnis, who I believe you've had on the show here. Yes, I once filled up the entirety of his phone with over 1,000 pictures and a 30-minute long video from the bus stop at Watkins Glen. So you could say that is probably my proudest achievement in life, is my ability to fill people's phones.
Well, I'm surprised you could get many pictures on Jake's phone, because he's probably got so many of himself.
Well, that he does. I won't get into the details of those. But I took some as well.
I see. With all your knowledge and everything, what were you lacking to get to IndyCar on a full-time basis?
Talent. Just absolutely zero talent.
That's why I'm not in there, no, plus the fact I can't get in and out other than that.
I definitely think when I look at, take my season of Indy Lights, for example, racing against the likes of Joseph Newgarden, I feel like I could certainly sense right away that he was one of those drivers that, wow, this guy is special. So I definitely don't think that I had whatever special is. At the same time, I think I did a fairly good job of kind of building my own sponsorship base, as it were, throughout my career. But I think that was probably the biggest stumbling block, is when it came time to take that big step, which is the Indy Lights to IndyCar step. I just couldn't really put it all together. And so kind of in conjunction with the company I'd started in 2012, when I'd done a year of Indy Lights, and it was a bit of a rough year, I kind of had a choice to make. Do I want to try and carry on for another year, try and scrap something together, or do I just say, no, let me focus on my business and try that for a year? So I decided that at that time, let me focus on the business. What could have been, I don't really think about, because I think where I'm at right now is a really good place. But yeah, I don't feel like I deserve to be an IndyCar, if that's the question.
Oh, well, neither do I. So you and I got something in common there. I mean, me being in the car, not you. And now you brought it up, and I know very little about what you do. You founded a company called CoForce. Now, CoForce is in a myriad of things. You're in digital and video. You do all kinds of things. Who do you do things for? Do you look for young drivers that are coming out of karting and maybe Formula Ford or something, who want to move up? You help them build a resume or a brand of some sort, or do you take established guys who need help to get to the next step, or both?
Well, it used to be, we used to be a driver consulting firm for up-and-coming drivers, just to help them kind of navigate their way, make sure that their agreements were good, that they were, headed in the right direction from a sponsorship perspective. But the unfortunate truth of it is that drivers are a very difficult business. You can't very easily go to a family, that's putting all their money and effort behind getting their kid to the top in racing and say, oh, by the way, we'd like for you to spend a lot of money with us. So as a business model, it's just a very difficult thing to do. So over the last few years, we've kind of gradually stepped away from the driver support. We still have a couple of drivers that we work with from a commercial perspective, but from a management perspective, it's the business model that almost can't be justified, in that you can't charge enough to make it worth your while, but anything you charge is too much for what it's worth for the kid and their parents. So I think therein also lies part of the issue with racing as a whole, is that it requires so much money to climb the ladder. It's not just skill. And so to get all the stars to align, unless you're, a very well-off family, is a very difficult thing to do. So Not saying that we've jumped ship and abandoned helping. It's just as a business owner, your responsibility is to be able to feed those that are employed by you, and the junior driver ladder just isn't very good for that, unfortunately. So right now our primary focus is on digital media and marketing solutions for partners involved with racing, teams, manufacturers, some drivers, but mainly on the partnership side, because that's where a big Fortune 500 company, they have a marketing budget. They will market, whereas a young driver, they don't. They want to spend every single dollar to buying another set of tires or another flight to get to the next race, and so on and forth.
Do you approach companies, or do teams who are working with a company approach you to come in and say, here's what we can help you establish so when you go racing it makes sense for you?
It's a little bit of both, and I think a lot of our task is kind of to bridge that gap between what companies are doing and what the teams are doing or manufacturers are doing, and build that kind of synergy between the racing program and what they're doing from a commercial perspective. So it's such a cool task, because we get to use our passion for racing and try and kind of put that in layman's terms and kind of build that into something that can apply to people that don't know anything about racing and their marketing platforms. So I feel very fortunate in that every single day we're challenged with completely new tasks and developing new marketing opportunities that hopefully will help somewhere down the road make racing a bit more sustainable.
You seem to be doing quite well, because if you go to CoForce.com or whatever your website, I looked it up, and it said scroll down to see your staff. What, you got 12 people now?
Yeah, I think we're 12 full-time, and then on event weekends we have a lot of subcontractors as well. So we essentially scale from 12 to 20, given on the size of the event and occasion. Yeah.
And I noticed one of your staff members is also just happens to be the PR rep for Aero Schmidt Racing.
Yep. So Veronica Knowlton, she's been with us now since 2016, and I actually met her when she was my PR rep when I was racing for Bilardi back in Indy Lights. So kind of spotted her as a quality individual, and she's obviously been with us now for quite a few years. So I think that's our goal, is to find these super talented people and give them an outlet to be creative and be wild and do some cool shit. Can I say shit?
Yeah.
I can. Okay, cool. Good.
That's cool shit, right.
Yeah, right.
But next time you talk to her and you're at a business...
I like it better when you say it. It sounds cool.
Oh, yeah, right. Next time you have a staff meeting and she's there, tell her I'm not that goofy. But I do want to talk to her drivers.
Copy.
Yeah, sure.
I will.
Yeah, she gets emails from me from time to time.
Copy that.
Because last time Hinch was here, he said, I'll come in with our new driver, Robbie.
Oh, yeah?
He said, I'll be with him. Well, of course, he got hurt, so that it hasn't happened yet.
Should bring in that Swede. He's pretty funny.
Yeah,
he's actually hilarious.
I've got him scheduled for another couple weeks.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Eric, and also got some guy people may have heard of, Jack Harvey. He's scheduled for the same night.
Yeah.
What's
Two lovely lads.
So what's she got to do with him?
Well, I mean, they're affiliated, right? The Aero Schmidt Peterson Motorsports and Meyer Shank and all that stuff. So, yeah. Anywho.
What got you started in racing? I mean, you're over in the Netherlands. It's not...
Do you not know what country I'm from?
What country are you from? Germany.
You're insulting me.
I'm sorry. You're from America.
I'm from Norway.
Norway, yeah.
Come on. No, what got me into racing? I got to sit in a go-kart when I was 2 years old. Oh. And I guess I cried when my parents tried to pull me out of it. And somehow they decided it was a good idea to buy me a go-kart when I was 3 years old. First time out, throttle stuck, flipped it. Loved every minute of it, apparently, because I just wanted to go back and drive more. So something not quite right, apparently.
During your career, and you won championships over in Europe in various series, what was in the back of your mind once you got into racing and raced full-time seriously? Did you have in the back of your mind, I'd like to go to America and run the 500? Or did you want to go to F1?
Honestly speaking, America was never even crossed my mind until my Dutch mentor, a guy called Walter, who helped me in karts and then the transition to Formula Ford in Europe. And from a funding perspective, we were struggling to kind of make that next leap in Europe. And he was like, maybe we just need to contact some people in America and see what there is. And I was like, yeah, sure. Didn't really think anything of it. And so we did, and we came across this guy, Dan Anderson, who you all know as the owner of the Road to Indy. And he was like, hey, I'm Norwegian. I need a Norwegian over here. So there we go. Walter and I fly across to Orlando to do a test in January of 2008. Just no expectations, just going to Sebring to do a test and let's see what happens. And, well, the test went really well, and Dan essentially wouldn't let me not drive for him that year. So that all kind of lined up fairly well, the F2000 championship. And then in the first year, ended up winning the championship. And I think that kind of, without expectation, kind of cemented my position in the U.S. And then that obviously allowed me then to climb up to Pro Mazda, Indy Lights, and the whole ladder. And it was kind of funny because I remember during my first year, I was like, yeah, this is cool. But I didn't really have any thoughts that I'd be staying here. It was always the thought of, well, I'll go back to Norway and then I'll do whatever. Then the following year, and I was like, it's all right. And then just one year after another, I feel like I got more and more and more situated here. And now when I look back 11 years in, and I'm like, oh my God, time has flown, and I'm like, I may never go back. And I've even got a green card now, so, I'm somewhat sorted. Unless my wife divorces me, in which case, big trouble. Big trouble.
Yeah, I was just thinking as you're talking, the first time I talked to you, you were a young, single guy just having a good time. Now you're married and have a boss.
Still having a good time.
Oh, I'm sure you are. Do you have to wear a name tag? Because you travel a lot.
Yes, there is the occasional travel. But, no, I love it, man. I feel so fortunate to get to do what I do on an everyday basis. And I don't think, if you told me that 6-7 years ago that, hey, you're not going to be driving, but you'll be happier than you ever been, I don't think I would have believed you. But I'm having the time of my life.
Did you ever have any thought in your mind when racing in Europe? F1, that's where I want to go.
Oh, 100%. But sort of in the back of your head, you watch the Indy 500, then you watch a few of those insane mile-and-a-half IndyCar races, and you're like, those guys are crazy. And I still remember the first IndyCar on track I ever saw was the Homestead Open test in 2008, and specifically remember this image of you go underneath the tunnel into the track and you park up and you walk up those steps to that little thing overviewing sort of the paddock and the front straight, and I remember just hearing this insane sound, and then I look to the right and it's Elio Castroneves on a qualifying sim. He's all the way up on the high line, spooling the car up, and then he dives down to the bottom and then stays on the bottom for his qualifying sim. And it was literally took a split second to just be hooked. And from that point, it was like, yeah, that's it. Like, that is what I want to do.
And your parents were happy with this program?
No, they hated it. No, no, they supported me every step of the way. They really did. I think my mom got very, very scared during the ovals, and then for my first Freedom 100 at IMS, I ended up having a pretty significant crash, and she comes into the media center and she's crying and all sorts of stuff. So I think the oval stuff can be pretty intimidating. It really can, and obviously consequences can be big on any track, but especially on an oval. Yeah, it puts things into perspective.
A lot of the young drivers that I talk to when they come here, I say, have you driven an oval? I said, no. Are you nervous? Well, yeah, they're fast, the guys are close. But then you talk to them 3 months later, how are the ovals? I love them. It seems that, everybody that I know, with the exception of the recent Max, who has decided this is not a good idea for a while, they get acclimated to it and they like it. It's fun. It's close racing. It's fast.
But I feel ovals are one of those you either love it or you hate it. And for me, luckily, I got in. First test ever was Pikes Peak in 2009, and got in. And I was like, wow, this is wild. But then I loved it. But I mean, you could very easily see just how it's so different that it requires you to completely reset your mind for how you drive a car. And so if you can get to grips with that, great. But if you can't, then you may very well make a decision like Max Chilton did, like Mike Conway did, like some other drivers have done, where it just doesn't interest them. And I think that was to some extent the same sentiment that I heard from Fernando Alonso after his test at Texas, right? He said Indianapolis Motor Speedway, fine. It feels a bit more like a road course, but Texas Motor Speedway, forget about it. No interest.
Yeah, it kind of got his attention real fast.
Oh, yeah, big time.
And, there's something about racing that here I've been doing this program, not necessarily, I've been doing almost 30 years here, and I did it 20-some years in Chicago. There's something about the sport that you get hooked on, and you can't let go. I mean, I should have walked away a long time ago, but I'm still here.
Me too.
So you essentially did, but, what impresses me is two things. One is working with Mark. He asks a question, and he lets you answer it, whether it takes 6 seconds or 2 minutes. He doesn't care. And that's what I like to listen to, because when I get done listening to you, I understand what you're saying. You talk in terms that the listener or the viewer can understand. And I have to say, at Road America, I was surprised when I clicked on to NBC Gold. There you were. I thought, well, now when did that happen? So are you doing all the lights on Gold now?
Yeah, so kind of did the Indy Lights on NBC SN, and then obviously this year with a switch to Gold, so I've been doing that as well. And then we have the Freedom 100 still on NBC SN, but all the other Indy Lights races are on Gold. So it's pretty cool because there's a lot of difference, but a lot of similarities between the radio and the TV broadcast. And I feel like the one very much complements each other. So the one thing I may have learned during an Indy Lights race will actually apply, directly to what you see in the IndyCar race. So, no, it's a lot of fun. Get to talk about race cars going in circles. It could be far worse, I think.
And the thing that's impressive is you have the same information on television as you do in radio. And, of course, radio, you got to be a little more aggressive to say what's going on because they can't see, and they rely on you. And every so often I'll turn the volume down on television, although I like Paul and I like Townsend, but I'll listen to you and Mark. And it's I find it very interesting, and I'm sure a lot of the people here say, oh, yeah, we listen to him too. I know Howdy doesn't because he can't stay awake, but other than that, what else do you want to accomplish? Is there something else you'd like to do? I mean, make your business bigger, I suppose.
What do I want to accomplish?
Yeah, that you haven't already.
Happiness and freedom. No, I honestly have no idea. Take it one day at a time and just live life and enjoy. And appreciate you having me back as always, and always good to see you. What do you want to accomplish, Don? Let's get serious.
Well, the thing I'd like to accomplish most right now is I hope I wake up tomorrow.
Don't be so dark.
No, I'm not dark. I want to wake up tomorrow, and then I can maybe go take a ride. If I have nothing else to do, I'll take a ride down to the Grand King shops and go see Fluffy. If she's there, that is.
What is Fluffy?
Who, not what?
Oh, Bailey.
Her. No.
Are you talking about Bailey?
No. Stephanie Throckmorton.
All right. Well, there you go. Yes.
Have you been to the Grand King shop yet?
I have not. Well, it's a beautiful hat, so I need one of them, so I clearly need to go.
And these hats are available. Go down to the shop. I think they're a measly, I don't know, how much are they? $30.
Okay, so here's something. I want your $30.
And I'll sell this one for $20.
Chappie, well, it's got.
No, I won't.
Yeah, it's got your sweat ring
yeah,
around
I know, that's
here,
the
so
other problem.
That's an upcharge, actually. So, all right, so who's winning the championship this year? In the NTT IndyCar Series,
yes,
of course.
Understand. I have a feeling that the guy that's going to win it is Alexander. I think he will.
Yep.
And the thing that, there's a lot of talk because the whole silly season is geared by him. I will be very much surprised if he leaves. I'll also be surprised if Mike Andretti changes to Chevy. That would surprise me as well. And I think that Alexander will stay with Andretti because, according to what I've heard him say, or his dad said, money's not the object. He wants to win. He wants to win championships. He wants to win the 500 again. And when I first met him, I thought, this kid's got a little bit of the Formula One in him. But as he's been here and accepted what goes on and the fun that it is, he's a completely different guy. He's got a good sense of humor. But he's dedicated to winning, and that's what he wants. And he's, as he said at Road America, I've got an engineer that, we work well. The crew works on the car. They give me a car I can win with, and he's obviously capo. Now, that's not saying Joseph Newgarden can't do that, because he does. But I have a feeling that in most of the races, he finishes in front of usually about 2 Penske cars. And I think that's what in my opinion, that's what he's after, is to win championships and win races.
I think when you look at him, you just see the attitude of the car. He just looks hungry. I mean, I'm not saying Joseph or the rest of the field aren't hungry, but just there's something about the way that he drives the car where you just physically can see the desire. Even when he was leading that race at Road America and running away with it, he never stopped pushing. He just kept pushing, and it's just that attitude where I feel like he's going to be difficult to beat. And I think, obviously, Joseph and them have done a great job of executing on strategy. Texas Motor Speedway, they called it just right. And I think that's kind of that bond that Joseph and Tim Cindric have, where they have that ability to call that strategy. But Rossi's hunger, man, is something that's unreal. It's fantastic to witness.
And if you remember the closing laps of the 500, he was told, just take it easy, you've got this. What do you mean, take it easy? Just take it easy, you got it. And nobody, I was there watching. I didn't realize he was almost a half a lap ahead of anybody. And he crossed the start-finish line 174 miles an hour. He could have pushed it that fast, and he won the race. And I think that changed his complete attitude about IndyCar racing. I have a feeling he was here initially to get some seat time and get some attention and go back to Formula One. But I think he's hooked on IndyCar now, and the fan appreciation. People are getting to know him and understand him, and I think he's getting more fans every day.
I think so, and I like the fact that he's becoming a fan favorite because of what he does on the track and not off it. Because he's just a badass out on the track, and people really see it. So no, I think it's fantastic, and there's a little bit of that bad boy, in there as well, where he's not afraid to lean into someone, and I think it's exactly what IndyCar needs. So no, I think it's going to be a thrilling second half to the season, and I think everyone else is going to have to get up very early in the morning to be able to stop him.
And it's an off week again, and tomorrow the poor guy is going to have to get up sometime fairly early in the morning, because he is a grand marshal at the, I think it's the quarter midget event at the Speedway tomorrow. I believe, I remember seeing that he will be the grand marshal. So if you want to see Alexander Rossi and shake his hand and tell him that you actually personally know Howdy Bell, you can do it there. So who do you think's going to win?
I think Rossi.
Yeah.
No question to me. I mean, to me it's a matter of if someone happens to string a season together and just get the strategy just right in every race, then they might have a chance. But if you just look at the speed that he's had on every type of track, and I mean the fact that he was able, with the relative speed deficit they had at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, to be able to take the lead with just those few laps to go and fight that hard for the win, there's almost no way you don't become champion at that point. Because, I mean, he was so much slower. I mean, you saw it took him, 9 laps to get by Pagenaud one time? Yeah. And then Pagenaud passed him right back on the following lap. I mean, if you saw Rossi's onboard video, you saw him, he was working the weight jacker, he was working the bars, he was working all this thing frantically inside the cockpit just to get the car to turn a little bit better in the corners to get the run on Pagenaud. So, it's going to be difficult for him not to win the championship, I think.
Well, what do you think of the series since you've come over here and started racing and have observed, obviously, the IndyCar Series? How do you think the series is progressing?
I mean, it's a very positive upward trajectory, I think. If you look at all the numbers from NBC, the last Road America one was the highest rated non-Indy 500 in, I don't know how many years, 6-7 years. I think everything's looking very, very good. And I think from a digital perspective, the series have done a good job. I think the teams have done a good job of showing what IndyCar is all about. And clearly sponsors are coming in and they're sticking around. You've had some big title partners come in and stay and, do long-term commitments. So to me, it's just a matter of we meaning the community as a whole, we just can't get into this status quo. We can't be happy with where we're at. We just got to keep pushing, find new ways to market the series, find new audiences, find new demographics, obviously keep the existing ones happy, but we just got to keep pushing, because I think that's the only thing that can make the series take a step back is if we let our foot off the gas and say, well, we're good now, so let's just not try and reinvent ourselves. I think you have to reinvent yourself almost on a daily basis.
Well, they brought S.J. Ludke in, and she's had some ideas and made some changes rather quickly. And I'll have her here next week to see what they have in mind and why and how and all that stuff. So I think you're right. They're not taking a back seat to anybody. They're looking to move forward. And I take my hat off to Jay Fry for wanting that, and Mark for getting the right people in the right place to do the job to make the thing click.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think all the stakeholders, all the team owners and manufacturers are putting their money where their mouth is. So it's a very, very positive thing. And then add to that the fact that we just have some of the most incredible racing. I mean, this year has just been phenomenal. Every single race has just been great. So, no, it's good.
And the thing I like, although Road America, somebody said to me, "Well, what was the matter with Rossi? He had all those push to pass. Who the hell was he going to pass? There was nobody there." And I think the television coverage of the racing that went back from second, third, fourth, fifth, they cover that and showed the close racing back there. Although he was a runaway, there was still a lot of really good racing back in the pack.
Well, and I think also we have to give kudos to Firestone there, because they realized after last year that, there was, that there wasn't a big enough split between the tires. So they actually went back and they said, well, we need to make the red tire last much shorter and make the black then last longer. And I think the effect that it had was that, Colton Herta gambled on red tires at the end. And had there been a full course yellow or something, he probably would look very good. But there wasn't, so his tires fell off. And I think that's exactly the balance that Firestone have done a good job of finding, is that with a year under their belt now with this aero kit, they realized that the drop-off wasn't as big as we were expecting, so they had to be a bit more aggressive on the tire compounds. And I think as a result, that race was just phenomenal, because it was always just that game of when do you take the penalty of going to the reds, and how many laps can you get out of the reds. And no, it was awesome.
Fun to watch, and you're fun to listen to. I want to thank you for your time to come here. I know you're busy. Your wife's probably saying, "I got dinner waiting. Hurry." Maybe not. I don't know. But thanks for your time. I enjoy listening to you, and I'm sure most people in here agree with me. You're doing one heck of a good job, or as we used to say in the trades, one hell of a job.
Thanks, Don. Thanks, everyone.
And you'll hear from me again. I'll call you sometime, probably the end of the season.
Yeah, let's do it.
If you're home.
we can talk about the champion.
There you go.
Yeah, maybe we can have the champion right here.
Well, always give it a whirl. All right, thanks for coming.
Make it happen, Don. Make it happen.
Anders
No
Krohn.
pressure.
Is my next guest in the house somewhere? Oh, yeah, there he is. Geez, you're hiding. No wonder. Want to remind you that if you want to take a ride and find out why these guys and gals like to run the Indy cars, you can go to the IndyRacingExperience.com, look up a date that works with you, and book. And in the promo box, put SJ1. You get a 50% discount. Or you can call Shonda at 317-243-7171 and set up a date and make it happen. If you're a vintage car buff, you need to head to svra.com and subscribe to the new magazine. It's not new, they just changed the name, Speed Tour. You get all kinds of great stories and stories about drivers, about cars, and what's going on with the SVRA. And it's great. It's a first-class magazine. And, of course, Tony Perella now is a major owner of the Trans Am, so you get all the Trans Am information as well. It's a great magazine, first class all the way, and you will enjoy it. So go to svra.com and subscribe to Speed Tour. And speaking of SVRA, their next event will be July 25th to the 28th at Phoenix International Raceway in Portland, Oregon. Portland International Raceway in Portland, Oregon. It's the 2019 Portland Vintage Racing Festival. So if you're anywhere in the Northwest, get up there. And then the next race following that, the 2019 Brickyard Vintage Racing Invitational. It's going to be great. And as I said, the Grand Marshal for that event is none other than Mr. Dick Simon. If you are into vintage cars, there's one place you need to go. You need to get a car, you want to buy a car, you want to get it fixed up, you got to go down to the Grant King shops. They can help you. They have cars if you're looking to buy one, they got them for sale. Or if you got one you want restored, they can do that too. So give them a call. The Grant King shops, our number is 317-820-3959. Look at what they got for sale. Look at what you got and how they can help you fix it. It doesn't have to be an Indy car. It could be a sprint, midget, whatever. If you got a car that you want to restore, they can take care of it for you. Now, my next guest is a gentleman that I have admired for a number of years. When I first met him, he was racing midgets, and he worked his way up to become a mechanic. He got into Indy cars as a mechanic. He became a crew chief. And the next thing you know, he is a team manager, and it just so happened it was Sarah Fisher Racing. And he was so good at it, she married him. Now he's the father of a couple of kids. They built the Speedway Indoor Karting Center, which is doing extremely well. And also when the opportunity came up to get America, I believe it's the oldest karting track in the country, was available, they got it. They now own Whiteland Raceway, and boy, what a change has gone on in that place. We're going to find out everything that's going on, what's new and exciting. Please welcome Andy O'Gara.
Thank you, guys.
I'm surprised you have time to come here. I mean, you've got 2 kids. Somebody's got to watch them, so I know where Sarah is, I assume.
Yeah, summer's a little bit crazy right now with them out of school and bouncing back and forth between Whiteland and our nanny that we actually took on the road with us. It was like an adopted sister to me, grew up with us my whole life. She just got married this last weekend, so this week we're a little bit thrown for a loop, but you called, I was here, so no biggie.
It. How is the karting center going now? I heard that your winter league went very well.
Yeah, karting center's great. I mean, Kyle and Rocky and Mike McFarland, all the combination of managers that we have there, Greg and Tom in the back, everybody's done an awesome job of keeping everything alive and kicking. And the winter league was awesome. Chris Wheeler and Rocky kind of looked after that and had a great following. I think there in the last couple weeks they were selling out the 44 spots. I think it was 44 spots in about like 6 minutes or something to go racing. So we're getting ready to start another pre-winter league. I think it's going to be like a Wednesday night lightning series here shortly. We'll announce that and get that going. It'll be like a 6-week series, and we'll take your best 5 or something. So you can miss one or drop your worst one if you're fortunate enough to sign up for all 6 of them.
Well, make sure I got in your email list so I can let people know it's available.
Yeah, I hit Marissa up as soon as you said that, but she said we haven't sent out any press releases or anything for a while. Everything's just been on Facebook, so it's probably been a good portion before we've done anything like that since Kyle was probably in more serious racing. But yeah, absolutely.
Well, put my name down anyway, so when she does send something out.
Okay.
Good grief.
Yeah.
Because you get busy and start sending out, she'll forget about the old bald guy.
I don't know about that.
Now, you bought all new karts, which you bought from Europe. You brought them over here. They're now in the indoor karting center, and you took the units from there and you rehabbed them and sent them out. Or where did you send them?
Yeah, we refurbed about a dozen of those units, and we'll have them launched at Whiteland Raceway Park probably within a week from today for the first time. So we're super excited about that, to bring a dozen down there and give people the outdoor feel and hopefully get some more people involved in the sport of karting and introduce them, at a rather economical level, and also just add to the experience for the everyday fan that comes down to see us down there and provide that option. So, yeah, we're going on about, I think, 4 or 5 months on the new fleet of 25. We're up to like 78 karts in rotation right now, I think. So we stay really busy. We've got, like I said, Greg Beck, Tom O'Gara, Justin, and Alex, a good group in the back that keep them pumping and keep them coming out, and it's been good.
Now, it seemed to me, I was down there, my grandson rode a couple times. He had never been in one, so they sent him on the banked oval the first time. Then he got to be on the new oval, which I noticed. I didn't realize you had changed the track, which I had heard about. And now you've got 2 ovals, one banked and one not.
One slick track, yeah. The slick track is really, I think it's the most fun for me, growing up around the USAC scene, the open wheel scene. It's a lot of fun to slide job your friends and hang out with a group. About 4 or 5 is perfect out there. It's really tiny, but it's a lot of fun.
Well, they had him do the banked oval, then the slick track, and then the next time he went, they let him run the road course, and he loved it. And
it's a good combination.
And I said to his dad, "You know how expensive these karts are. Just keep that in mind." When did you change the track?
Probably November, I think. November-ish, December-ish. Yeah, we started playing. Actually, it was first of the year. We started playing around with it. Slowed down a little bit there in January. We had plans for the slick track Greg and Rocky and Kyle had been trying different combinations of track coatings and tires and PVC that we use and really sorting that stuff out, and finally got slow enough to say, okay, now's the time to launch it. And it's so far so good. I mean, we've been really impressed with how things have held up and the product that is producing on track. It's a tough balance to produce a $20 ride with a concession cart and in the Indianapolis market. We have such an unbelievably overwhelming presence with the race fans in general to try to produce a $20 ride and keep everybody happy, and it's tough, but I think the boys do a really good job, and I'm proud of the product that we've been able to put out there thus far.
You know, the thing that impresses me, the new carts look to me like they don't get damaged quite as easily or as severely as the original. I see them bouncing off each other. It doesn't seem to do a whole lot of damage, where initially some of the carts you had, you know, if you bent something, you don't do that. It doesn't look like anyway.
I think the absorption technology just in a couple years is better, and then we know what to look for quicker, I think, too. And Greg and Tom are just much more educated back there to what they're expecting out of the carts and how quick we can maintenance different things, that we stay on top of them a little bit better. And they have the help and equipment versus 3.5 years ago.
Yeah. Now, when you bought Whiteland, I said, are you going to change the clubhouse or put any No, that'll be along the way. Well, before the snow melted, you had them done.
It was just, again, it was a timing thing. We didn't have the initial anticipation to do that right away, but we had feedback, and we have a great banking partner that works with us and believes in our long-term plans, and we shared that with him and shared that with Mr. Hartman on our partnership side there, and we're able to pull it off relatively quickly with McGovern Construction. It's like our 4th or 5th project with McGovern Construction, and Tim's awesome, and was able to get everybody moved in by April 1st, which was phenomenal, considering that I don't think we got the old building knocked down until late November. So.
Yeah, when I asked you about that, I said, no, that's probably a spring project. Next thing I know, you got a new one. How many garages did you build?
We built 32. I think we've got 31 of the 32 leased out right now. So
really? Gee,
it didn't take long. I'm really proud of the product down there as well. I think, it's $150 a month, and you get a 12-foot wide unit by 15 feet deep, and that covers your lights, your power, and unlimited practice for the track during track hours. I don't know where else you're going to be able to produce that and try to help grow the local karting community at a better rate. So,
well, I remember when Mark opened his place, I said, "You're going to put garages?" Oh no, they'll never sell. Are you kidding? He had found the same thing you did. You build them, and they will come, and they did.
Yeah, Mark is my hero and one of the biggest supporters of us at Whiteland from day one, and I've learned a lot from him, and he's always a phone call away, and I appreciate that more than he will ever know.
Are you going to get a Whiteland team, and then he gets a Newcastle team and race each other, alternate tracks back and forth?
I don't know. We've actually talked to Camden, to the Gregs, to OVKA about maybe doing some sort of tri-championship there between Newcastle, Whiteland, and Camden, and maybe even something else, trying to let people leapfrog a little bit to where we can take their best out of a couple and put together the Triple Crown again for the Midwest. So who knows? You never know. I'd love to run against those guys though. Mark and Junior and Mike and that whole gang out there. Mark Harrison, they're awesome.
How long did it take you when you heard about Whiteland possibly going on the market and becoming a parking lot or something? You guys decided, no, we can't let that happen?
So we were down there in I think like June testing with my kids. We had just got their kid carts, and it was the first time that they had been on track at Whiteland, and Mike had come up to me, Mike Swales, the previous owner, and just let me know that things were a little bit tough, and asked me if I would have any interest. And at the time, my plate was full, and as much as I love the place, I just couldn't feasibly make it all work. And then a few months later, he called, and our time slots had changed a little bit. Our portfolio had opened up a little bit, and we were able to take a chance at it and make one more stab at it. And it was just a timing thing. We just got really lucky. I know that there was a lot of people in line, I think, to try to help save it, that wanted to save it, that didn't want to see it go down the road. And, it kind of just fell into our lap at the right time. And, we were prepared to build something special and take a loss for a few years and try to make it, what it deserves to be again.
I think it's interesting that Mr. Hartman is still involved. I remember the number of times he called when Sarah's prime sponsor for the 500 a few years back failed, and he heard about it, I guess on television or something, and he called, 5 or 6 times before somebody said, we might want to call this guy back, and look what happened.
Yeah, it has become one of the most cherished relationships in my life, and outside of my parents, I'd say he's and Sarah's parents, he's given us more opportunities than anyone ever, and way too many chances, to be honest. But it's rewarding for me to show him a real business model, because not sure how many of you know this, but IndyCar racing is very hard to do that. So to show him that I can run a business, I can put good financial plans and business plans together and look for it to make money in the future and have a good investment in the product. And, there for a while, it's just, both of us are throwing a lot of money at IndyCar racing. It's fun to see it on the other side. And I know he enjoys seeing the grassroots side of motorsports and helping the next up and coming stage too. So it's very rewarding. I still talk to him 3-4 times a week. So.
Well, that's kind of interesting, because I remember the story. I don't know if I had Sarah here or your PR guy at the time. I can't remember.
Clint, probably.
Yeah, it might have been. And I said, how many phone calls did it take before you guys realized, let's call him? What have we got to lose? It was about 5 or 6, and they finally called him.
So we were so green to everything on the business side of motorsports, really, at that point, that we didn't fully understand how bank account wires and everything worked from sponsorship and financially outside of cashing a check and bringing it. And, this guy just kept calling up and saying, hey, I'd like to be a part of this. I saw your story on NBC Sports or wherever it was at the time. And, his exact language was, I don't like to see the American dream get crapped on. And I want to fix it. And, we thought forever that, him and 15 other people that haven't come through, and we were returning calls as fast as we could, but I think he had called a million times, and finally Sarah and I told Clint Briney, again being green to the financial side, not knowing that the wire only worked one way. We're like, just give him the account number. There's nothing in there. Like, he's not going to hurt anything. just see what happens. And he wired us $200,000 to keep the race team alive to be able to qualify for our first Indianapolis 500. And that was the saving grace that gave us the opportunity. And not only did he do that, but when he sent it, like, we're going to the vinyl shop to print stuff for the side pods, and he goes, no, you need to sell the side pods. That's what's going to make you survive. You just put me somewhere on the car. Give me a 6-inch spot. I don't really care. I just want to see this thing last longer than the month of May. And it's just an incredible relationship, and a guy that's given us, like I said, countless opportunities in the last 10 years, and I can't thank him enough.
And I find it interesting, he has a soccer team in Kansas.
He did have. He had Wichita Wild and Wichita Wings, the arena soccer team and arena football team, which he was very successful with both, multiple national championships. Built them a beautiful arena just outside of Wichita, and has since sold those teams, but still has the arena, and he's always into helping people out and finding the next biggest thing and opportunities, and he keeps me on my toes.
I had him here one night, and he said, I said, how are your teams doing? They're doing all right. He said, I wanted a stadium, and the city turned me down.
Yep.
He said, heck with him. I built my own out in the weeds somewhere, which probably not in the weeds anymore.
It's a beautiful, beautiful complex. He's done a lot for that area.
He said, if they don't want me, I'll do it myself. And he did, and obviously things are well. Do you miss driving at all?
I don't think I I don't have time to miss it as much. I have more fun with my kids right now than I probably did behind the wheel. So, we had our first podium with both of them on the podium last weekend. So that was really special to see both of them up there. And to do that with Mom out of town, I got a lot more credit there. So, yeah, she was up in Elkhart Lake and sending her pictures and watching them. The kid kart field, believe it or not, is our biggest class generally, and it's so awesome to see 15 to 24 to 7-year-olds out there, just really learning the craft and it's so much more rewarding, I think. And we've worked really hard with the kids, but we don't press them, and they still want to go to the track every single day. So, in answer to your question, I don't know. I'll still get in a kart a couple times a year and run some fairly competitive races and have fun with Kyle and Rocky at some of the bigger places, but that's really about it. I have fun watching Kyle in the sprint car and midget and crown car, and have fun watching my kids, and I don't have time to think about it. I don't.
Will you be in a car for the BC 39?
Yeah, no, I'd cost myself a lot of money on that one. I'd love to do it sometime, but definitely not at a big one like that. But no, we'll have at least 2 cars in that, maybe 3. You never know.
Now, you spent the month of May, where you have for a number of years now, with Dennis Reinbold, with Sage Karam, and it was just announced today that Sage is going to drive for Carlin at Toronto. Do you have any desire? You don't have the time, I'm sure, to get back in, or is once a year enough for you?
I don't know. I feel like, we have once a year feels like enough. And then every time as you prepare for the month of May and you see the race cars roll into the garage for the first time, and you watch all the work and dedication that's gone into them, and you kind of sit back there and strategize not just the race, but you strategize the month and how you approach it. And I miss that aspect of it. I miss the everyday of it. I don't know that I'll, unless that inevitable call would ever come from Mr. Penske or something to go help with an effort, I don't know that I'll ever go back to a full-time effort. But I'd love to have another opportunity for Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing or something similar to go run the 500 again someday. I don't think it's a matter of if. I think it's a matter of when. It's just we want to make sure that we can do it right when we do it again, and we want to make sure that we can do it with the right people.
Well, yeah. What's it like working with Dennis Reinbold? Because he's quite a guy, and he loves racing. And I know he has told me on several occasions he keeps looking for the opportunity to run full time.
Yeah.
If it ever comes across, and if he can't find it, I know I never would. But working with the guy, and he obviously has a lot of faith and trust in you to keep bringing you back every year, and you bring Greg with you, which puts the karting in somebody else's hands while you're doing that. It's got to be kind of fun to work with the guy.
Yeah, he's just a class act. He's just a old school handshake. What you see is what you get. If he tells you something, you can take it to the bank. He's got great people up there with Chase Selman running the everyday show, Robbie Ott and Dave Taylor and Aaron Nelson and all these guys that I go back 10, 15 years with. Got a chance to grow up with a lot of them, and it's neat to be able to walk through the garage on a good day or a bad day and shake his hand and look him in the eye and tell him, hey, boss, everything's fine. Like, it's going to be good. Trust me. Just take a deep breath. We're good. Don't worry about the speed charge today. And he looks at you, and you know that he has that faith in you that it is going to be okay, or that if we say we need to go in this direction, that he stands there and backs it. You see that on qualifying day when we had some of the strategies that we had to get in and out when we needed to, and kind of let that play out a little bit. Him and Chase gave me full reign with that program, and to have the people on our side with that race car from Brad Larson and my cousin Casey and Greg Beck and just all the good people around us, Robbie Ott. Dennis he does it right. The body fit of the race cars, the getting rid of a lot of mechanical drag and trying to produce the best one-off effort possible with what they have is they've done a phenomenal job. And if I went back, if I was fortunate enough to form an SFHR again, to do a one-off or whatever, I can't think of a better team to try to partner with than Dreyer Reinbold.
And it's amazing, you don't hear about it, but he's got a full crew on payroll all the time for he runs sports cars.
Yeah, in a beautiful facility. I mean, full CNC operation. I think they're, building their shock program as needed, upright dynos and transporters parked inside and proper surface plates and pit stop practice and all the necessary things that it takes to do things right in today's racing world. I mean, he's done it. He's built it. He's done it the right way. He's went through a lot of tough times along the way and went from kind of, 4 cars at one point at Indy to 1 car and back to 2 cars. But everything within the organization right now is first class. If you ask for it and you need it to go fast and you justify it, it's at your hands and fingertips the next morning. And you can't ask for anything more.
Well, the only thing you could ask for anything more would be some more money and run full time.
Hey, and I don't know that I'm his guy for that, but I hope he calls me when it's another month of May effort. But I'd be there in a heartbeat if they said we were running next weekend and they needed a hand. I'll do whatever I could to help them.
Well, that'd be nice because maybe Sarah's driving a pace car, so the two of you could kind of pal up.
We got to figure out who's running the kids, but other than that, we'll be all right.
That is another problem. It's kind of interesting that you have taken over Whiteland, because I used to go out there when Gary Lee bought it, and he was so excited to build that what he called his Monza wall. And I'd go out every once in a while, and he'd say, let's go. So I go out. So I'll give you a half a lap start. Really? And 1.5 laps, he lapped me. Driving a kart was not what I do very well at, but it was fun to go out and run there. And from what I can see, you guys have improved it immensely. So now you have 2 karting, 1 indoor, 1 outdoor, but you also have a building that has a restaurant in it. How's that? Do you oversee the restaurant, or do you
I have
back away?
People that are a lot better than me within the food and beverage industry. These guys will tell you here it's tough. I mean, I have so much more respect than I did 4 or 5 years ago for the entire industry and all that they go through. My parents have had the pub since '03 or something in Beech Grove, and my family's had Irish pubs in the city since the 30s. But really just traditional Irish pubs of, not much food, if any. And I saw what my parents were able to do with, 1 and 2 people, and I thought, I can do this. Like, we just got to have a small menu, decent menu, and roll with it. Well, it's way harder than that. Like, the every day that goes into it, you gotta have people that care. And I remember after the first year, when it came tax time, of sending out the W-2s and W-9s of people that no longer worked with you, and you see that stack of 2 inches high, it can be really demoralizing and make you question everything. But we went through some tough times and got good management, I think, that's got us through those tough times on that side with Mike McFarland and Noel and Crystal and Big Mike and a group of people that have been with us for a while now, that I feel like I can be honest with and we can build together. But it complements the indoor karting side really well, I think, with the catering and the options that we offer within the same building. But I would say that, knock on wood, but I will probably never do another full-blown restaurant as long as I live.
Well, I had one in western Illinois. My wife at the time and I said, this is a good idea. We used to go there and it was for sale, so we bought it. I have done some dumb things in my life and still continue, but that was without question the dumbest. Because one of the things, and I don't know if you run into it, I used to run into it all the time, because we come down here for the full month of May. And we had good people, so that wasn't a problem. We'd come back, where were you? I came in to see you, and you weren't there. People want to see you there. They want you to see them into your place. And boy,
and Sarah and I probably don't do a good enough job of that. We're there every day, but we try to get out of there at a decent hour to go home and be with the kids. But we do have a somewhat of a presence every day, or most every day, but not like you would see some of the owner operators that are doing it the right way. That, I mean, I have a lot of respect for those people. I really, really do. And it's a whole lot of work to make a little bit of money and sometimes break even and sometimes go under and keep, playing the yo-yo roller coaster game on that side of things. But like I said, I probably would have done something different if it wasn't for the key people over there that I do love and I enjoy coming to work with. So it's an experience. It's been a lot of
Well, the owner of McGilvery's is here tonight, and when she's not here, her top ace is here, Brenda, and they keep it, huh?
They're both going.
Well,
See?
Brenda wasn't coming, but put your arms down. You're on the 6th day of your so don't forget
Perfect.
April and Megan and DB. This is tough, and I think the two ladies are doing a nice job. They got good people here, so they're.
And the beer's cold.
And the beer's cold. Yeah, that's the important thing. And tomorrow night's bike night. If you don't know anybody that's got a bike wants to come in, this is the place to be. Tomorrow night, bike night. Every Wednesday from now until the end of summer, I guess. I appreciate you. I know it's the summertime, that there's kids around, and you got kids to take care of, and I appreciate you taking the time to come here. What is this?
Oh, anytime. That's your, you wanted some rides to give away, so there's 5
really?
$20 gift cards.
Oh, really?
So.
Now, if anybody has any interest, and I know most of you are like me, I wouldn't get in one of those things. I'd probably never get out. However, you might have kids or grandkids that would be interested. Come up and see me. We got, not you, you're not a kid. Yeah, but you're going to give it to him because he'll take it away from you. If he won't, I will. Anyway, if you have an interest in somebody that will use the car, not you, Howdy. No. No. Now, Shirley and I'll go, but you're left out. Anyway, if you'd like a ride, he was kind enough to bring some here, so stop up and see me. Thanks for your time. Enjoy
thanks
going.
for having me.
We stop into your place every so often, and we'll be out, take a peek at Whiteland. Have you got the attention there that you expected, or is it more than you thought?
It's been overwhelming, to be honest. You can check out the schedule at racewrp.com, but Mother Nature hasn't obviously worked with us to start the season, just like she hasn't with anybody. But I think we're on a really good comeback now. We have our first night show a week from Friday, so July 12th. We're averaging 125 carts on good days with nice weather, and 75 carts on rainy days in the rain. And I think our high is in the 170 range, 170 entries. So really overwhelming. I remember the race before we took over. We went down there, and there was 15 entries, and Sarah looked at me like, "What the hell did you just do?" So. So I think we've come a long way in a short amount of time, and hopefully we can keep building on it.
Well, I think anybody that knows you and knows Sarah knows that when you put something together, you don't do it haphazard. You put together a good program that people will be interested and want to see. So good luck to you. Thanks for coming
Thank you.
by.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for the tickets that
No
somebody I know
problem.
will want to use. Andy O'Gara, thanks for coming. And I have my very good friend coming up here for a minute because there's something else going on, starts tomorrow, that you might want to hear about. Plus, I got something else to tell you. This just came out today, but I heard yesterday about a race next weekend at the Speedway, and I said, I haven't heard a thing, not a peep. So I called my Mr. In guy, Bill Throckmorton. I said, you hear about the race next weekend at Speedway? He says, huh? Same thing I said, no. Well, I got an email that was sent to Brenda here at McGilvery's, and I read it, and I looked at the guy. He was dumb enough to put his phone number in, so I called him. And we spoke for about an hour. And what they have going on will be an endurance race, and their organization is now called Champ Car. When Champ Car became available, they trademarked it. Champ Car Endurance. And next Friday and Saturday, there's two 10-hour races. One Friday and one Saturday. And they said the last time they run all major tracks, they told me. And the last race they had two of them in, they started 100 cars, and they on Friday and Saturday they had 97. So, and there's kind of an interesting what cars qualify. It's got to have a value of $500 or less, but that's trade-in value, so it could be worth more money. but for a trade-in it's worth $500. And they've got, when they put out the announcement about this race next week, in 19 minutes they had 103 entries, and they were restricted to 100 cars. So, and unfortunately, no spectators. The Speedway said no, not this year. Denny told me that they've been talking with Doug for 3 years, and they finally got the program put together, so they're going to see what's happened. But we'll let you know more of what's going on and so on with that. And what my esteemed colleague is up here for, something I wasn't aware of until just last week sometime. Starting tomorrow, there's going to be a Corvette pace car event. It starts at 5 o'clock in Fort Wayne, where they drink and lollygag and have fun. And it will leave Thursday morning, go a couple stops in Michigan, 3 or 4 in Illinois, and they'll end up back here on Sunday. So I've invited Chuck Schumann to tell me what's going on. So please welcome Mr. Chuck Schumann.
Thank you.
So what's the deal with this? How did you get it? Just because you own a Corvette
So
pace car?
Right. So the Corvette Pace Car Registry is an organization that is committed to keeping track of all the Corvette pace cars. And you might think, well, that's 3 Corvettes a year for however many years they've done it. And as you know, a lot of people complain there's been too many Corvette pace cars lately. But notwithstanding that, it's a lot more than 3 cars. There will be parade cars, there will be track cars, and there will sometimes be replicas that are manufactured by Chevrolet and sold to the general public. And this group keeps track, or tries to keep track, of who owns them all and where they're all at and all of that. You might be surprised to know that since 1978, when they did the first Corvette pace car, there's over 3,000 either track cars, parade cars, or event cars, or replicas that have been manufactured, and we try to keep track of all of them.
So how many cars are going to be running in this event starting tomorrow?
Yeah, so every 2 years the registry has a reunion, they call it, where you can, if you're a member of the registry, you can do this thing, and it's usually a road trip. So we'll go from someplace to someplace else, and in past years we've done a Route 66 event. We've done some things in North Carolina through the Tail of the Dragon. We've done some things up in Michigan where we went to the Proving Ground and to the General Motors Official Museum where they've got all the good stuff. And as we tour, we go to car shops. And tomorrow, this group will, as you said, convene in Fort Wayne, and they're going to go to, in this case, 2 car tours, shop tours that are, these are private car collections. They're not open to the public, unfortunately. These are people who are, big car people, and they've got big pockets, and they've got lots of cars. And so we're going to go see those. We're going to end
Julie, I got a ticket for you.
Yeah. Yeah, don't leave
Well,
yet.
not yet, but I will when we're done talking. Yeah. You got mad and left.
Oh,
well, I got a watch, too.
808.
What, do you want my watch?
Okay, so real quick.
So you're going to during this 5-day tour, you're going to visit shops as you go along.
Right, shops and museums. We'll do 2 in Michigan. We'll do 3 in Illinois, and we'll finish on Saturday night in Decatur, Illinois. So we're going to go from here to Fort Wayne, to Brighton, Michigan, to Bourbonnais, Illinois, if you know where that is.
Yes.
Yeah, and then finish in Decatur. And the only 2 events that will be open to the public in terms of the facility are, and let me make my notes here, Gilmore Museum in Kalamazoo, and that'll be on Thursday. And then there's a Chevrolet Hall of Fame Museum in Decatur, Illinois. I think it's privately owned, but it's open to the public, and there'll be a bunch of pace cars there. And that'll be on Saturday afternoon. The rest of them, unfortunately, are not open to the public, but if you're on any of those freeways, you're liable to see a parade of pace cars driving around.
And it just so happens you have one.
I have a replica. It's a 2007 orange car.
It's a replica.
Yeah, it's one of 500 that Chevrolet manufactured.
So it was identical to the pace car. It just wasn't.
It's identical except for lighting. The official pace cars have some beautiful strobes that are installed in them, but other than that, it's pretty much the same car.
Well, you don't want strobes going down the highway. You have people running off the road scared.
Look, I got a bunch of friends who own that car, and one of the first things they do is drop a couple grand to put the lights in the car, if you can imagine that.
Oh.
Not me, but
well,
they do.
all right.
Yeah.
So you are leaving town for 5 days.
4.
4 days.
Yeah. Oh, I want to mention one other thing, and this one is of interest if you're hanging around IMS. The National Corvette Museum in Bowling Green, Kentucky, is celebrating its 25th anniversary in this Labor Day. And as part of that, and maybe you guys have heard about this in the past, the Corvettes have a caravan. It's a national caravan that goes from all points around the country, and they converge on Bowling Green on a certain day over Labor Day. And this time around, the Michigan and Northern Indiana contingent is going to stop at Indianapolis Motor Speedway on Wednesday, August 28th. They're going to stage there, pick up all the local Indianapolis clubs, of which there are 4, and then they'll make the trek down. But there will be, 3,000 to 5,000 Corvettes. I don't know the official number, but it's a ton. And they all head down to Bowling Green, and then they spend the weekend partying down there. And that'll be the 28th of August. If you went over to the IMS Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the 28th in the morning and hung around, you'd see all these Corvettes coming in, and they'd be staging. They do the traditional lap around the track, and then southbound they go.
Huh. Interesting. Do I have to buy a Corvette, or can I just kind of observe?
Well, you can come, to the extent that IMS lets you in,
Well, that's the problem.
Well, I think if you go to the museum and tell them you want to go see the pace cars, they'll let you park there and you can walk over it because it's just Gasoline Alley.
Oh.
It's where they stage.
Well, I'll talk to Marty. Maybe she can help me. She runs the museum, so when she says jump, I say how high.
She can make it happen, I'm sure.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy your trip. And next week, as I said, my first scheduled guest is S.J. Ludke. She is a vice president of communications, I believe, for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. There's been a bunch of changes there in the last couple of weeks, and maybe more coming, but I'm not sure, so we'll find out. Until next week, Don K. saying thanks for being here. Thanks for watching and listening. Until next week, good night.